Can Prince Harry work as a part-time royal? That's getting a big fat no from the king, according to a new Daily Mail report. Despite the father-son reunion at Clarence House on September 10th, a royal insider blasted claims that this could be the new normal for Harry and Meghan. Whoever's behind it seems to have mistaken a brief tea and slice of cake for the Treaty of Versailles. Ouch. The source added that Charles III is a forgiving man, but has been absolutely clear that there cannot be half-in, half-out members of the working royal family. This upholds Charles's late mother, Queen Elizabeth's decision following Harry's highly publicized Megxit from royal life and move to the US. The modern face of the monarchy is Charles and his heir, Prince William, who hosted the Trumps during last week's state visit. That said, Harry and Meghan are still allowed to use the royal titles of Duke and Duchess of Sussex, just not HRH, His and Her Royal Highness. Their two kids also have royal prefixes, Prince Archie, age 6, and Princess Lilibet, age 4. The source went on to allege that the syrupy news is coming from supposed Sussex sources, and they aren't helping a reconciliation. However, a spokesperson for Harry told Page 6, "The Duke has made it clear that the focus, as it relates to his family, is his father. Beyond that, and on any other issues as relating it to the royal family, we won't be commenting." But it seems like the English singer Joss Stone is doing the talking for him. She told Hello Magazine that Harry had spoken to her about the schools in London at the Wellchild Awards during his 4-day UK trip. Could it be a sign that the father of two has an itch to move back home? And do you think Harry should be allowed to be a part-time royal, splitting time between the US and the UK? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Let's dive in. It's fascinating, isn't it, how the universe works? After all the noise, all the division, and all the years of relentless headlines pitting father against son, brother against brother, suddenly there's a shared heartbeat pulsing through the royal family again. A rare, quiet unity. Not on the palace balcony or at some grand public event, but in something deeper, more meaningful. This time, it's about the world itself, about technology, truth, and the kind of future we want for our children. And right at the centre of that conversation, none other than Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, King Charles, and yes, even Princess Kate. Each of them, in their own way, has sounded the alarm about the dangerous impact of social media, misinformation, and the emotional chaos that's consuming people, especially children, in today's digital age. And let's be honest, who knows that pain more than Harry and Meghan? They lived it. They endured the full weight of online hatred, the dehumanizing commentary, the viral misinformation that turned lies into headlines. They didn't just study the problem, they survived it. And now they're fighting to make sure no one else has to. The Princess of Wales recently wrote an essay, a deeply personal one, about what she called an epidemic of disconnection. She's right. Families are more isolated than ever. Children are being shaped by screens instead of stories, and emotional well-being is being replaced by digital validation. But while Kate's essay sparked headlines, Harry and Meghan took action. Together, they added their voices to a powerful open letter calling for stricter regulations on artificial intelligence and social media algorithms, warning of the dangers of unregulated digital power. This wasn't about celebrity or politics. It was about humanity. It was about using their global platform, built not on titles, but on earned credibility, to speak truth to power. Now, let's pause for a second, because this is where the double standards of the British media rear their ugly head again. When Meghan and Harry talk about the dangers of social media, the tabloids call them virtue signalling. When Kate or Charles mention it, they're praised as visionary. And yet they're all saying the same thing. The hypocrisy is staggering. But for Harry and Meghan, that doesn't matter. They've never been in it for applause. They're in it for purpose. And what's more beautiful than seeing King Charles, a man who once felt torn between duty and family, now echoing the very same warnings? During his recent visit to Manchester, Charles met with first responders who had faced unimaginable trauma during a synagogue attack. Amid the conversation, he lamented what he called the ghastliness of social media. His words carried the weight of experience, not just his own, but his family's collective wounds. Because yes, this is the same king who watched, helpless, as his youngest son and daughter-in-law were vilified across those same platforms he now condemns. And yet, there's grace in his acknowledgement. There's healing in his recognition that the digital world has gone too far, that its power to divide, destroy and distort must be confronted. Former BBC royal correspondent Jenny Bond commented that all three, Charles, William and Harry, are becoming more vocal about this issue. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? Because despite all the narrative of feud and fallout, what we're really seeing is shared purpose, shared moral ground. Harry and Charles have already started rebuilding bridges. Remember that private 55-minute tea at Clarence House last month? Quiet, respectful and unpublicised. Exactly how real healing begins. No cameras, no palace leaks. Just a father and son talking man to man. The tabloids, of course, spun it as symbolic or a step forward. But what they won't say, and what we all sense, is that that moment meant something. There's an energy shift happening. For years, royal commentators sold the story of Harry as the runaway prince, the rebellious son. They said he cut himself off. They said Meghan drove a wedge between father and son. But look at the truth now. The very issue that tore them apart, the media's toxicity, is what's bringing them together again. That's poetic justice. Even Jenny Bond admitted that this united stance is a valid and impactful use of their platforms. Exactly. This is what leadership looks like. Not the performative royal photo ops or the hollow PR gestures, but actual advocacy, using one's influence to create a better world. Now, Bond tried to downplay it, saying this doesn't mean full reconciliation is on the horizon. But what she doesn't understand is that reconciliation isn't about photo ops. It's about understanding. It's about shared truth.
Charles has a lot on his plate. I'm going, state duties. Public scrutiny.
But through all that, he's still making time to reflect, to pray, and to extend grace where the tabloids only offer gossip. During his visit to the Vatican, there was a moment that said it all. Bond mentioned that perhaps when the king prayed with the Pope, he was thinking of both his sons, of William and Harry. Imagine that, a father burdened with crown and conscience, quietly asking for peace in his family. Now that's humanity, that's fatherhood. And for Harry, the son who's been endlessly vilified, to know that his father shares his concern about the harm of digital abuse, that must feel validating. Because, let's not forget, the Duke of Sussex has been one of the earliest voices in the global fight against online toxicity. Through Archewell, he's collaborated with experts, educators and mental health leaders to confront cyberbullying and algorithmic harm. Years before the mainstream conversation caught up, Harry was already there, warning that technology could distort truth, damage trust and destroy lives. And he wasn't wrong. When the media called him paranoid, when they said Meghan was overreacting to online hate, they were really exposing their own guilt, because they were part of the very machine they refused to regulate. Now, the same establishment that mocked him is suddenly echoing his message. Charles is speaking out. Kate is writing essays. And the world is realizing Harry and Meghan were right all along. But of course, instead of giving them credit, the tabloids pretend this is a family-wide concern. No, this began with Harry and Meghan. They led the way. The Sussexes didn't wait for permission to speak the truth. They didn't need a royal seal of approval to take a moral stand. They acted, and once again the institution followed. That's the difference between symbolism and substance. And it's precisely why the same commentators who dismiss them can't stand them. Because when you live your values instead of just talking about them, you expose everyone who's faking it. Now, about reconciliation. Of course, it's complicated. Years of pain can't be fixed in one conversation over tea. But what matters most is that there's movement, quiet progress. The path may not be easy, but it's happening behind the scenes, where true healing belongs. And while the king deals with royal scandals and public responsibilities, Harry and Meghan continue to represent a new generation of leadership, grounded in compassion, courage, and conscience. Meanwhile, Prince Andrew's situation, well, that's a distraction the monarchy can't afford. The king knows it, the people know it, and it's unfair how some media figures try to conflate that chaos with Harry's integrity. There's no comparison. Harry's been transparent, ethical, and service-driven. Andrew, on the other hand, is still trying to rewrite his legacy through silence and denial. So yes, Charles has challenges, but through it all he's also rediscovering his connection with his younger son. Not through titles, but through shared purpose. And that, my friends, is how healing begins. Because family isn't about who sits where on a balcony. It's about who shows up when it matters. Harry and Meghan show up. Every time. Whether it's for veterans' mental health or digital safety, they don't just talk about change. They embody it. And if that makes the tabloids uncomfortable, so be it. Because the Sussexes' light doesn't dim just because others can't handle its brilliance. This moment, this quiet alignment between Harry, Charles and even Kate, reminds us that truth has a funny way of coming full circle. The same people who once mocked Harry for warning about media toxicity are now forced to admit he was right. And through it all, Meghan stands tall, dignified, gracious and unwavering. She's not out here begging for acceptance. She's leading by example. Her silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Her focus isn't on noise. It's on legacy. So, to every viewer watching this tonight, remember, healing takes time, but truth always wins. Harry and Meghan aren't just rewriting their own story. They're influencing the moral compass of the entire royal family. And that, right there, is history in motion. If you believe in truth, compassion, and the power of integrity, hit that subscribe button, join the Royal Sussex squad, and help us keep shining light on what the tabloids try to bury. And if you want to support this movement for truth and positivity, don't forget to tap that super thanks button. Every contribution helps us keep these conversations alive and unfiltered. Together we stand for Harry. We stand for Meghan. We stand for truth. Because love always wins, and no headline can stop it.